Hi everyone, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar for today. Today's session, we're going to discuss the optimizing organizational capacity in the Best Start Network solicitation. Before beginning, I want to address a few housekeeping items. Just to clarify, all callers will remain muted throughout this presentation. At the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A. As part of the Q&A, we do ask participants to use the question box feature as part of the GoToWebinar software. Please do not use the chat box. And just to ensure that we don't have any audio difficulties, I ask you all just to place your phones on mute as well. The webinar will be recorded and will be posted on our funding website where the RFP is currently listed. I just want to do a quick technology check. So if you guys can please use the raise your hand feature just to ensure that you guys are able to hear me and that we're being clear enough on our instructions. Perfect. I'm seeing some raise your hands now. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. Oops, give me a second. And dive right in. So my name is Sable Morales, and I am the contracting manager who is overseeing this procurement in partnership with our communities department, and I'm joined by.
Good afternoon, everyone. Roberto Roque, Program Officer in the Communities Department here at First 5 LA.
Okay. So give me a second. During today's session, we're going to cover a few items. You can see the agenda here listed on your screen. We're going to go over a brief overview of First 5 LA. We'll also provide a project overview and review the terms of this project. We will cover eligibility requirements and desired qualifications. I will also review the application process on how to submit an application for this funding opportunity. I will go over required documents, the selection process and timeline, and then we will close with a question and answer just to wrap up this webinar. So we're going to begin with our overview of First 5 LA. So to those of you that may not be familiar with First 5 LA, as an organization, First 5 LA is a public entity. We were established in 1998. Following the passage of Proposition 10 by California voters, which is a state tax on cigarettes. We are a funder, a collaborator, and advocate focused on supporting children prenatal to age 5. We prioritize this age as it's a critical window given that 90% of a child's brain is developed by the age of 5. As part of our current strategic plan, First 5 LA is focused on 4 key outcome areas to maximize our impact to strengthen families and improve outcomes for the greatest number of children 0 to 5 in LA County, which are families, communities, early care and education, health-related systems, and health-related systems. For this project in particular, this is focused on the community's outcome area. So just want to ensure that alignment and connection with our strategic plan. At this point, I'm going to pass it over to Roberto to go over the project overview.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, this is Roberto with the Communities Department here at First 5. For those not familiar with First 5 LA, our Communities Department is responsible for overseeing our place-based effort, Best Start, which this project is related to. First, I'll dive deeper into the project itself and what inspired the development of this project. First, our community capacity building is one of our First 5 LA investments that help us achieve our First 5 LA community's outcomes of increasing community's ability to foster safe, healthy, and engaged neighborhoods that help children and families thrive. This investment area allow us to focus on helping individuals and organizations that live and work in communities to take great ownership and responsibility for the children and families who live within these communities by fostering safe, healthy, and vibrant communities. Second, this project is a response to a need that was identified by our community partners. Many nonprofit organizations currently participating in the community partnerships had expressed the desire to strengthen the capacity to influence policies and systems level change. And since the inception of Best Start in 2009, we have invested in capacity building to cultivate these strong collaborative efforts among parents, residents, and organizations, but the focus has been primarily on the parents and residents. Third, this project aligns with the evolution of the Best Start into local and regional networks. Historically, our Best Start investment has focused primarily on each community partnership, but as of May 2018, First Father Lake shifted its approach to facilitate the evolution and the expansion of the 14 Best Start community partnerships into these local and regional networks to position them to more effectively influence policy and systems level change. So through this RFP, First Father Lake Communities Department seeks to strengthen the capacity of nonprofit organizations actively participating within each of the 14 Best Start community partnerships to more effectively influence policy and systems level change within their local and regional Best Start networks. Next, you will see the where this project will be focused. This project will be focused within the 14 Best Start communities, and as I articulated earlier, as of May 2018, we have a new structure and a new approach on how we are supporting the Best Start community partnerships, and now we have grouped them into 5 regions. First Father Lake has entered into contract with 5 organizations that are supporting the expansion and evolution of these community partnerships into the 5 regions. Now we want to talk a little bit more about the project and the scope, what the project is and the scope of the project. The project, as you see, the intent of the project is to strengthen the capacity of nonprofit organizations actively participating within each of the 14 Best Start communities, for them to better position them to influence policies and systems level change within the local and regional Best Start networks. And more specifically, this project seeks to strengthen participating nonprofit organization systems, their structures, their resources, relationships, and the skills that are needed for these key stakeholders to fully realize their contribution as key players in advancing systems and change within the local and Best Start networks and the larger ecosystem within this region. The first 5 is seeking a qualified organization to serve, one, as a strategic thought partner and also as the implementer of the optimizing organization capacity in Best Start Networks project. And it's expected that the selected applicant will work in partnership with First Father Lake and the 5 Best Start regional network grantees to fulfill the core key functions. And lastly, the selected proposer objective is that you will assume the responsibilities of the administrative aspect of the project, which will include project management, reporting, invoicing, and any subcontracting and monitoring of the project. Now we'll dive deeper into the scope of the project. And there are 4 key activities that we expected the contractor to implement. The first one is the co-designing and implementing a capacity building approach and plan in coordination with First Father Lake and the 5 regional network grantees. And this is going to be based on an initial assessment of what are the capacity building needs of the nonprofit organizations that are currently participating in the Best Start partnerships, and to helping them be more effective in influencing policy and systems level change within their local and regional network. The second key function that we are expecting the selected applicant to complete is the coordinating and convening of the participating nonprofit organizations to strengthen their organizational capacity. We want to implement some peer-to-peer learning exchanges and create opportunities to increase collaboration among the participating organizations within the project. The third is to provide training, technical assistance, and coaching to the nonprofit organizations participating in BestStart, and this is the TTA, the coaching, and the training is grounded on the new structure of this local and regional network approach. And this function, we are allowing the applicants, either the main applicant can fulfill this function or can have the ability to subcontract with other entities to complete this task. And the fourth is to serve as the project evaluation and learning coordinator by collecting data, facilitating reflection and learning sessions on as needed basis with First by the Lake, the regional network grantees, and other partners, and compiling any lessons learned and be able to share some of those learnings with key stakeholders.
Okay.
Now we'll transfer to Seth.
Thank you so much, Roberto. So now that we have an overview of the project that's covered through this solicitation, I'm going to review the terms for this project. So First by the Lake expects to enter into an initial 16-month agreement with the selected proposer, and we're currently anticipating a start date of March 12th, 2020. This is, of course, subject to approval by our Board of Commissioners. This contract will renew for an additional year at First by the Lake's sole discretion. But we do want to highlight that the total project term is up to 28 months for a total project budget of approximately $600,000. The renewals are contingent upon First by the Lake's Board of Commissioners approval, and First by the Lake does reserve the right to terminate the contract if the quality of services are not to First by the Lake's satisfaction. In terms of contract type and payment structure, this will be a cost reimbursement agreement. The final budget will be negotiated with the selected proposer. And as part of a cost reimbursement agreement, the selected proposer will be reimbursed through monthly invoices based on the services they rendered and actual expenses incurred. So therefore, the proposer must anticipate sufficient cash flow to support a 90-day billing cycle. So now that we've covered the terms, we want to dive into our eligibility requirements, which you can see here listed on your screen. They're also located on page 11 of the RFP. So to be eligible for this funding opportunity, the proposer must be a nonprofit or private entity. First by the Lake will not accept proposals from sole proprietors, government agencies, academic institutions, informal community groups, the regional network grantees, or their subcontractors. Additionally, the proposer must have a permanent physical office location in LA County. So please note that these eligibility requirements will be reviewed in level 1, and proposers that do not meet these requirements will not advance to the next level of review. So now that we've covered the terms of the project and the eligibility requirements, I'm going to briefly pass it back to Roberto to go over the desired qualifications for this opportunity.
As you can see on the screen now, we'll describe the desired qualifications that we seek in an applicant. You can also find the list of these desired qualifications on page 12 of the RFP. And right, as you can see, these desired qualifications are categorized into 3 areas that will be assessed throughout the whole proposal review and during the interviews for those proposals that pass level 3. As you can see, we're looking for you, what are the experience of the applicants in providing capacity building to nonprofits, experience with community engagement. We want to have entities that have some understanding of organization development, change management, some skills to project management. So you can see the full list on the RFP and on the screen.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. So now we want to spend some time going over the application process just to ensure that everybody is set up for success on how to submit a proposal for this opportunity. There are 7 required documents to apply for this solicitation. Proposers must submit all required documents through our online application process, which we'll give you an overview of shortly. We've also provided you with Appendix C, which is an application checklist to help ensure that you have a complete application. Omissions of any document may constitute an incomplete proposal and will be grounds for disqualification. Let's go over the application process. In order to respond to this RFP, you must complete the online application form and submit all required documents that we just specified through the online application system. Proposers must set up an online account in order to access the application form, and instructions on how to set up an account can be accessed online, and we've even provided you the link here in the webinar. But all the instructions and all the information is detailed on the web page where this RFP is currently posted. Now, we are requiring a proposal narrative. We do want to call out that it's a maximum of 7 pages, excluding attachments. The narrative should describe your organizational history and demonstrate the experience, knowledge, and skills the proposal will bring to the project. And, we identify that a successful applicant should provide a general description of their approach that, you and your team will use to fulfill the functions and key tasks detailed in the scope of work section of the RFP. The next required document is the budget and budget narrative. So proposers are required to submit a detailed budget for the initial contract term of 16 months. We provided you with Appendix D to complete this budget and to include the fulfillment of all activities that are detailed in the scope of work. If needed, we also included Appendix E, which are instructions and guidance to how to complete the budget form that we provided. Proposers must also provide a budget narrative. And again, we provided instructions on how to complete that narrative in both Appendix E and Appendix F. The budget narrative should justify the cost of the proposal and support the proposed expenditures by supplementing the information provided in the budget. It is expected that proposer's budget will be clearly justified and appropriate to the work that is being proposed. The next required document is the litigation and contract compliance form. And this is provided as Appendix D of the solicitation. We ask that all proposers please read the information on the required form and, we ask you to read it thoroughly and also ensure that there is a signed copy that is submitted by the proposal deadline. As part of the instructions, if you check yes to any of the questions on this form, we ask that you please explain the circumstances for the response and explain whether this will impact the project on this solicitation. Okay, omission of this form will constitute an incomplete proposal and may be grounds for disqualification. So please ensure that you read the instructions for this form thoroughly and ensure that you're uploading a signed copy as part of your proposal. We are requiring financial statements, which can be either a financial audit for fiscal year 17-18 or calendar year 2018, or 2 years of audited financial statements with 2 years of Form 990s no older than 2017. And then last but not least, we do require a business license if applicable to your entity. So now that we've reviewed the required documents and gave some instructions on how to apply online, we want to go over the selection process. So the selection process is detailed in the RFP, which begins on page 13. First Federal Aid is using a multi-stage review process, beginning with level 1, which is an internal review. As part of level 1, First Federal Aid will evaluate all proposals for completeness and minimum requirements, such as timely receipt of proposal, submission of all required attachments, and adherence to the eligibility requirements. Proposers with admission of any required documents are subject to disqualification. During level 1, First FLA will also conduct a due diligence review, which includes a review of the litigation and contract compliance form, which we just went over, and a review of whether a proposer, either current or former, remains or is placed on a non-compliant status. Additionally, First FLA will conduct a conflict of interest review for proposers, including subcontractors. For those proposers that pass level 1, they will advance to level 2. Level 2 is going to be a financial review of the documents that we just covered. Proposers will not advance to the next level review if the financial documents submitted demonstrate significant administrative and or financial issues that will indicate an inability to effectively manage funds awarded under this RFP. So for those proposers that pass level 2, we will move on to level 3. Level 3 is our proposal review. The submitted proposals will be reviewed by our review panel that will be comprised of First FLA staff. Prior to beginning review, all reviewers will be assessed for conflicts of interest and sign a conflict of interest form to certify that there are no existing conflicts. The review panel will use the review tool listed as Appendix B to evaluate the received proposals. For the highly scoring proposals from level 3, they will proceed to level 4 review. Level 4 is an interview. Tentative interview dates are included in our timeline listed in the RFP, but I do want to call out that those dates are subject to change at First FLA's sole discretion, but we do our best to ensure that we maintain the timeline that is currently posted. Interviews will be held either at First FLA's offices or via phone, and the same interview staff from level 2 will be used for level 3, which will be internal First FLA staff. And then the highest scoring proposal based on level 4 interview, in addition to past and current performance under First FLA agreement, if applicable, will be recommended to First FLA's Board of Commissioners for award of this grant agreement. So now that we've covered the required documents, we've covered the selection process, we want to move on to some important reminders for this funding opportunity. We want to remind all proposers of the due date, that all required, to respond to the RFP, proposers must submit all required documents to the online application system designated by First FLA no later than 5:00 p.m. on December 13th, and that is a Friday. Proposals received after this deadline will not be considered. Some other items that are important to note for submission. We want to remind you that to please ensure that your documents do not exceed the page limitations that are detailed in the RFP. Pages that exceed the limits will be removed and will not be considered as part of the review process. Failure to submit all required attachments may constitute an incomplete proposal and may be grounds for disqualification. It is the proposer's responsibility to ensure that prior to submission, the proposal reflects the requirements of the solicitation. We highly recommend that you not wait to submit your documents to the online application system minutes before the closing time. At that time, everybody is trying to apply, and we want to ensure that everybody is adequately uploading all required documents and not waiting till the last minute to do so. First FLA will not be responsible for any delays proposers may encounter with the online application system due to multiple proposers uploading documents before the closing time. So now we want to, I'm so sorry, I need to call out a correction here. So in this reminders, the highlighted section, I do want to call out that proposals are due on December 3rd, not the 13th. Our apologies for that error on your slide. So let's move into the timeline. This is accurate. The RFP was released on November 5th. We are currently conducting the webinar now. I do want to point out that the last day for you to ask questions or have a request for additional information is November 21st. And First Chevrolet will respond to questions as we receive them. We will also post responses of all replies that were provided by November 25th. And proposals are due by December 3rd. So I want to call that out and make that clear. Proposals are due on December 3rd. I want to call out that there was an error in the previous slide, and this is indeed our timeline that is listed with the RFP. So again, proposals due December 3rd. And then you can see that in the timeline, we also included the dates for the in-person interviews, which is level 4. So we like to provide those so that your team can plan accordingly. And we hope to have a contractor selected by January 20th with the board approving that agreement on March 12th and having a contract start date of March 12th as well. So at this time, I'm going to pause, and I want to remind you guys to use the question feature on the GoToWebinar software to pose questions. And we'll take a brief pause. Our team will review the questions and we'll provide answers to the ones that we're able to during the webinar now. And then if you don't get an answer now, then we'll definitely reply via email, and we'll also post a response on our website. I do want to call out that First Chevrolet, if there is any addendums that are needed to update the RFP, those will be posted on our website. So we want to just call out that reminder as well, just to keep an eye on our website to ensure the most up-to-date information and updates that may occur. So at this time, we're going to take a quick pause to allow you guys to just process some of the information that was presented during today's webinar. And if you have any questions, go ahead and pose them using the question box of the GoToWebinar software. Our team will be reviewing them as they come in, and then we'll come back on the line and provide answers for any of those questions that we're able to tackle today. I'm going to put everybody on a brief mute, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we're getting a lot of really great questions. We encourage you to please continue to submit them. Just a reminder, even after this webinar, you can continue to submit questions up until November 21st. So you'll go ahead and email them to me. My email is currently on the screen and it's listed in the RFP. So we're going to take some of these questions during our time together now. I do want to clarify that we won't take all of them. Some of these questions will take additional consideration from our team to provide a very comprehensive answer to support your development of your proposal. So we'll respond to you guys via email, and we will also post replies to all questions on our website where the RFP is currently listed. Okay, so one of the questions we got is on the requirements that you listed. The max budget to apply for the 28 months is approximately $600,000. Is there a max you can apply for the first 16 months? So no, we currently do not have a max for the first 16 months, but we are asking that you provide a budget with your best thinking to cover that initial agreement period. The $600,000 is for the total project period. One of the next questions we have, give me 1 second, I'll read it off. Will the PowerPoint be available for review? Yes. So this PowerPoint will be posted on the website where the RFP is currently listed, along with a recording of this webinar RFP. So you'll have both a copy of the slides and a recording of the webinar to ensure you have all information that was covered today. So another question we got related to the budget says, the RFP says an estimated $600,000. Is there a preference for First 5LA to stay under $600,000 or to be comprehensive in the initiative, even if the budget goes beyond $600,000? So to clarify, as part of the required documents, we are asking for a budget for the initial agreement term, which is 16 months. The $600,000 is the total project cost. And we're going to continue to review some of these questions as they roll in, and we'll be right back with some answers. Okay, we're back, and thank you guys so much for all the questions that you're submitting. We're continuing to review them, and again, we're only going to be able to answer a few during our time during this webinar, but you will get a response to the questions that you are proposing via email, and all proposers will have access to those responses when we post online. So one of the questions we got is, can you elaborate on what is meant by the physical office space in LA County? So this is referring to one of the eligibility requirements. And the second part to the question is, how does this apply to virtual office spaces? So it does not apply to virtual office spaces. The requirement is for proposers to have let me pull up the exact wording again. It's listed in the RFP under the eligibility requirements for this project, and it is found on page 11. So proposers must have a permanent physical office location in LA County. By physical, we mean a brick and mortar location. So you can, if you have a virtual office space in LA County, that will not deem you eligible for the opportunity. So now we're going to move on to another question. Another question we got is, can you elaborate more on some of the skills and qualities that you're looking for in a strategic thought partner? And Roberto is going to help us answer that.
Sure. Thank you, Sable. For us, when there's not a specific skill set that we are looking as part of this being a thought partner. What we're looking for is somebody that can collaborate and has a collaborative mindset that can work in partnership with First Five and the regional network grantees in the co-design of the capacity building plan and approach to support the capacity of the nonprofits that will be participating in the project, and would not expecting to have an applicant come with a pre-designed and prescribed plan.
So at this time, we're going to go ahead and end our webinar for this afternoon. Again, I want to call out that we do have all the questions that you submitted, so you will be getting a response via email. If you don't receive a response via email, we will definitely have a response by the time that all the responses are posted on our website, and all responses that are shared with proposers will be posted. And just a reminder, that date is November 26th. And as a reminder, we remind you to keep an eye on our website for any updates, any addendums, and there are updates as to when the webinar is posted, the slides are posted, and the answers, the Q&A document is posted as well. If after the webinar you continue to have questions that you haven't already submitted, please email them directly to me. My email address is on your screen now, and we will continue to take questions until November 21st. I want to thank everyone again just for your time and commitment to this opportunity and all your great questions that you raised during our webinar today. And we hope to continue to receive great questions and then, of course, really great proposals in response to the solicitation. So thank you.
Thank you.